When the HOA president locked my ranch gate, I swear to you, I thought I was in some kind of bad comedy like Who in Their Right Mind wakes up one morning, walks outside with a mug of coffee, and finds themselves fenced in on their own land, staring at a brand new gleaming perimeter fence they didn't build and a shiny padlock they don't have the key to. HOA. That happened to me. And right then I knew this wasn't just going to be a misunderstanding. This was going to be a war, though I didn't realize yet just how far it would go. So picture this. Early March, sun just coming up over the rolling pastures outside Abilene. I've only been living out here 6 weeks. I'm still getting used to the quiet after years in Amarillo. You know, traffic, sirens, neighbors stacked on top of each other. And I'd saved half a lifetime to buy this spread. I thought I was buying peace. I thought I was buying space. I thought I was buying mornings with the smell of cattle and wind instead of exhaust fumes, but instead I get this HOA nonsense. A wall of rules built higher than any fence I could put up. Now the cattle, they were inside, staring at me like I'd lost my mind. Like, hey boss, what's going on? Why is there a zoo fence around us? And I walk down toward that steel gate, and there are 2 guys in HOA polo shirts, tightening bolts like they're building a prison yard. And I ask, "Morning, fellas, what's this about?" One doesn't even look at me. The other mutters, "Talk to the board." Then I hear the crunch of tires, and here she comes Marjorie Cane-Sharp's suit, sharper heels, sunglasses perched like she's stepping off some courtroom drama set. And she doesn't even say hello, just starts with, "Mr. Ridley, you've been notified of your non-compliance issues." I blink, because honestly, what the hell non-compliance? With what exactly? I ask, and she's flipping papers like she's rehearsed this line in the mirror, says, "Perimeter fencing must match community standards. Yours does not. Until corrected, this measure will prevent further violations." And I'm pointing past her at my cattle, pointing toward the creek, reminding her that's my access road. And she just smiles that thin politician smile and says, "The easement is controlled by the HOA. It's in the covenant you signed." And all I can think is, those pages of legalese at closing, buried between signatures. Nobody with a working man's back and dirt under his nails reads those the way a lawyer does. You just sign and hope you're not giving away your firstborn. So I say, "You mean you can just lock me in?" And she actually has the gall to say, "Contact our office when you're ready to discuss the approved fencing style. Have a pleasant day." Gate slams, lock clicks, SUV drives off, like a movie villain exit. That night I sat at my kitchen table, papers spread out, and my neighbor Glenn, retired trucker, lived here 20 years, leans over his coffee and says, "She's been doing this for a while. If Marjorie doesn't like you, she'll bury you in fines till you choke." And I told him plain, I didn't move out here to be pushed around by a committee. And Glenn looks at me with that old trucker squint and says, "Then you'd better be ready, because she won't hand you that key unless you crawl to her first." Well, crawling ain't in my nature. So I show up at the next HOA meeting. Place smells like burnt coffee and old carpet. Every chair taken, and Marjorie sits at the center table with this necklace that looks like it costs more than my first truck. Before the meeting even starts, she grabs the mic and says, "Mr. Ridley, you'll be addressed under compliance matters." 40 minutes of landscaping and mailbox drama later, my name comes up. I walk to the front, boots echoing, and she launches into me about community aesthetics, uniform standards, all that junk, and I tell her, "This is a cattle ranch, not a golf course. The fence is safe, it's functional, and it keeps my animals in." And she cuts me off smooth as silk. Functional isn't the standard, community aesthetics are. So I pull out my folder, lay down photos, point out 3 houses down the road with fences that don't match, none of them padlocked, none of them getting fined. And you could feel the room shift, neighbors whispering, eyes darting, and Marjorie snaps back. "Those cases are under review," like a school principal caught in a lie. Then I go for the throat. Blocking my animals from water isn't just petty, it's dangerous. And she says, deadpan, "We confirmed you have other water sources with satellite imagery." I laugh right there. Bitter, sharp, satellite imagery? You think a photo from space tells you how to run a ranch? The room buzzes. Glenn raises his hand, says, "Maybe give the man time to adjust," and she slices him down without looking. "If Mr. Ridley wants to live here, he follows the rules." And that's when I knew this wasn't about a fence, this was about power. After that, the letters start stacking up, fines climbing. Words like visual inconsistency detrimental to community appeal stamped across every page. And I'm reading them out loud in my kitchen, muttering, visual inconsistency, what the hell does that even mean? I'm not throwing weddings out here. I'm raising cattle. Neighbors stop me at the feed store, whisper, we're with you. But when Marjorie walks by, they shut up quick, like school kids afraid of detention. Then one day, twist of fate, half-acre lot with the gate goes up for sale, separate from HOA holdings, just this little strip of gravel and mesquite. But it's the choke point for my whole ranch. Whoever owns it owns the key. And I realize, if I buy that land, this whole thing flips. But if Marjorie catches wind, she'll shut it down. So I call up an old buddy, Brett. Runs a property company a couple counties over. He sets up an LLC so my name never touches the paperwork. Glenn grins when I tell him. That's bold, he says, and I like it. Weeks later, escrow closes, key lands in my palm. Cold, heavy, final. I walk out to the gate, slide it in, and when the lock pops, I swear it sounded like thunder, like freedom echoing across the pasture. 2 days later, white SUV rolls up, Marjorie steps out, heels clicking, board members in tow, and she says, Mr. Ridley, you appear to have accessed HOA property without authorization. And I lean on the gate and say, not HOA property anymore. It's mine. County records are public if you don't believe me. Her jaw tightens, eyes narrow, and she hisses, don't think for a second this is over. And I tell her flat, it is over, you just don't know it yet. But of course it wasn't. Deputies show up one weekend. Lawsuits hit my mailbox. Neighbors split into camps, some cheering me on, others calling me reckless. Court hearings drag on for weeks. Marjorie showing up in blazers like she's testifying before Congress, and me just sitting there with dirt under my boots and the truth on my side. And then, one bright June morning, the judge bangs the gavel and says the purchase is valid. HOA has no authority, and they're paying my legal fees. I walked out lighter than I'd felt in months. Back at the ranch, leaning on that gate, cattle drinking from the creek, Glenn beside me with a cold beer, I told him, it's not just about winning, it's knowing if you stand up once, maybe other folks will too. Now here's the thing, you might be sitting there thinking, was I right to push back? Or did I just stir up trouble for the whole neighborhood? Because yeah, I won, but it split this place wide open, neighbors against neighbors, trust cracked down the middle. And that's where I'll leave it, because sometimes the real question isn't about fences or fines, it's about how far you'll go to keep what's yours. So tell me, if you were in my boots, locked out of your own land by a committee with a padlock, would you fight back, or would you cave? Drop your thoughts below, because I've got a feeling this one's going to stir up a lot of arguments.